Johnny Somali. What do you talk about a guy that's been talked about and been just a nuisance everywhere he goes? Now, I was going through my YouTube page and I came across an Atozi video where Atozi is talking to Legal Mindset, a lawyer who has been covering the Johnny Somali trial, what's going on with it, and the latest news is that he has been indicted, which is really, really good and really good to see. And I just wanted to go through that video because there's a lot of good key points that our Legal Mindset says and points that Atozi brings up that wants clarification because yes, Legal Mindset has been getting information from the Korean lawyers, his friends that are there, and he is in South Korea, so he does know what is going on, and we don't have to use AI filters or clips or anything like that that is really poor translations. So I do want to show Atozi's video today. Also, I'm not going to show the whole entire video because I think it was actually a really nice video that Atozi did. So I do want to just take the clips, but please go to Atozi's channel and Legal Mindset's channel because both of them have done good coverage. Atozi on, hey, you know, what has he actually been doing? And then Legal Mindset on the actual legal part. If you are interested, please go check out their channels and their coverage of this. It has actually been really good of understanding what is actually going on. So Atozi does ask Legal Mindset, kind of in this first part of the video, what do you think the court case in Japan was? Like, do you think it was lenient? Do you think that they did what was best for them? And kind of to summarize it, Legal Mindset said, hey, there's not a lot of CTC footage. A lot of shops don't have it around Japan, but in South Korea, there is a lot of CCTV footage. Every store has them, so there's a lot more footage that the cops, that the legal system in South Korea can use against Johnny. He also did bring up the good point of the first time that Johnny actually did any of this, it was his first time in Japan. So when he did a public apology, and a public apology in these Asian countries, they kind of reduce your sentence. They kind of see, oh, you have remorse. So the courts in Japan were like, hey, he did a public apology, so we're gonna just go down a linear sentence because, as Legal Mindset puts it, we didn't know his behavior of doing this before. So it wasn't until Johnny got out of Japan did he actually start bashing the Japanese and the Japanese people. So South Korea, in that case, can actually use that as, hey, this is his pattern. He made an apology, but he didn't actually stick to it. He actually went back and bashed them and redrew his actual public statement. So I'm just going to share some clips of what he said, Legal Mindset said, I should say, about his Japanese stay.
But because it's important to say, obviously I am not a Japanese or Korean lawyer, right? So when I speak about Japanese or Korean law, it's through usually friends of mine who are lawyers in Japan or Korea who have explained it to me. So that said, Japan handled this in a very interesting way. So they could have brought more charges against him. It was possible to levy more charges against him. However, what they ultimately ended up doing was saying, okay, we're going to have this one charge, this relatively minor charge, right? You're going to enter into a plea, right? We're not going to sentence you. We're going to release you. You are going to have to leave. But because he was found guilty of that plea, he's now blacklisted for 5 years, right? So he cannot go to Japan. So right now, one of the jokes that Johnny was saying was, he's going to go to Jeju, which is an island. It's like Korea's Hawaii, right? Even if he went to Jeju on a boat, he couldn't go anywhere because the only options are China, which good luck there, North Korea, or Japan that are right next to us, maritime neighbors. And he can't go to Japan. He's locked out. He's banned for 5 years. So a lot of people think Japan should have gone harder on him, but frankly, they do not have the volume of video evidence that we have in Korea. And Korea, this is something that folks don't know as compared to Japan, Korea has a lot more CCTVs.
Okay.
So there's probably a lot more footage we're not even seeing of Johnny Somali from different angles that he did not stream. Every single store in Korea, everywhere you go, there's CCTVs everywhere. And I guarantee you, in this case, the police have pulled a lot of that footage, and they've proven that he indeed has done these things.
Okay.
Unlike in Japan, where they really weren't aware of his history or his background or anything else, the judge, when he made a public apology, which he did in Japan, had every reason to believe he was sincere because he hadn't really ever done something like that in another country, another place.
Following how the story was playing out, Johnny going to all these different Asian countries or going to all his whole saga. If you haven't seen Johnny's whole saga where he goes and live streams and gives live streamers just a horrible name, which is not really fair because, some actual IRL live streamers can actually be really good. They can actually be very helpful. But in Johnny's saga Discord, and he was on call with his buddies, and his buddies were saying, hey, you can just go down to Jeju and they will, you could go on a plane there and you can fly out the country. Well, from what Legal Mindset said, well, that's not the case. He can't go to Japan. He's banned there. He's blacklisted, as he said, for 5 years. And he can't go to China, and North Korea isn't going to be a good option either. So he's stuck there. And Legal Mindset will bring up the issue of the second passport that Johnny was showing, that it does not matter if Johnny had that emergency passport that he got from Israel. That's not going to work. He has a nationwide travel ban on him. So if he tries to go to any airport, they will not even give him any sort of airfare ticket. And Legal Mindset will go into that.
Something which I pointed out, and this is something that my Korean friends who are very well versed in the law, including lawyers, have told me. Johnny is facing multiple crimes in Korea. So he has this obstruction of business one, which was just indicted on, which means it was sent to the prosecutors, and the prosecutors recommended this for trial. That's charge number one. But the police are still investigating several other charges against him, including the drug use, including assault, including deepfakes, including all sorts of other things that people are now reporting. So he can be charged just because he's got this first offense. He can still go through with charges and trials on all of those other issues. And if he's found guilty of this first offense, for the second, third, fourth, and fifth, he will be a convicted criminal. He will be a repeat offender. So when they look at that scale of maximum punishment to minimum, that's going to send it flying to the top because he is now a repeat offender.
As Legal Mindset just pointed out, this is looking very bad for Johnny now, because if he is found on this first charge, and as Legal Mindset said, they can still get him on other charges as he laid out. And this is now going to be 10 times worse because he is going to be labeled a repeat offender if found guilty for the first one. So he will be facing harsher sentences, which I don't think anyone is opposed to. I think it is well deserved. I think Johnny is getting the finally punishment for what he has done and all the crimes he has committed in other countries. So I hope that he is found so he can get harsher punishments and have to see that his actions have consequences now. He asked the question of, they're in the Discord that Johnny is in with his bros. They've been saying these charges have been dropped, but what Legal Mindset is that, though you cannot trust what the Discord is saying, because they are going to have Johnny's back. They're going to try to say that this is wrong, that this was dropped, but in reality, we would have heard from the Korean news stations, the prosecution in South Korea. We would have heard something official, which we haven't. And a lot of his charges, especially with the deepfake. Now, the streamer that was affected did go make a report and then said, hey, I am taking it back or had to change your mind. That doesn't mean that that charge has gone away. Legal Mindset, if you go and watch the video, because I'm not going to put the clip in, said basically that the police could be still holding on to that. They probably didn't want to send it to the prosecution because they're probably like, hey, we have other important stuff, mainly assault and drug use. So they're going to go after him for that. But this is something that could come up in the future that the Korean police is holding on to, essentially. That it's not truly gone away. It was just not given to the prosecution, or if the prosecution does have it, they are not adding that charge in yet.
Juries are relatively rare in Korea compared to the US. So it might just be a trial where there's a criminal trial where it's just the judge and Johnny. However, that's the route we're going down, and under that route, the punishment is always more severe, typically jail time. All lawyers that I've spoken to here say this indicates that they're looking to seriously and severely punish Johnny.
So, according to Legal Mindset, it does seem like Johnny's actual trial will be more than likely in front of just a judge and no jury or anything, because that does not happen it doesn't happen in South Korea. So it's more than likely Johnny just being in front of judge, and unfortunately this will not be televised because South Korea does not televise their trials, unlike most states like in Florida. So in the United States, the Sunshine Law does allow people to televise the trial, which unfortunately will not happen in South Korea because they do not have that. So people will be going to the trial. So Legal Mindset did say that he was going to go to the trial, and he's going to be as many trial dates as he can so he can get the information and everything. So look at his channel for any of the trial updates.
Why do you think he hasn't officially been arrested yet? Like, why is he roaming around freely right now?
First of all, that's a difference in the Korean process, and people misunderstand that. And he has been, quote unquote, arrested, right? He's already been taken in, booked. They got his photo. They told him the charges against him. So he's gone through that booking process. It's kind of like being released on bail, right? Except for that's the automatic presumption is they just let you go. And here's the logic. And I think when you really think about this, it makes a lot of sense. If you have somebody in jail, you have to feed them. You have to clothe them. You have to provide them with some basic services. You have to allow them to stay somewhere, right? So you have to maintain facilities. Korea says, hey, look, as a foreigner, you've got to pay for all that yourself. So the money, the bills are coming in on Johnny Somali, right? He's not legally allowed to work here, right? Which is a separate issue, right? And whether his streaming activities constitute his work is a gray area.
That is very interesting to see in like the US system is, once you get arrested, you usually go to jail, and in jail will take care of you. But in South Korea, they're like, hey, you're already processed and we're putting a trial against you. You have to feed yourself here. You have to bear the financial responsibilities that, you have to live for. Like, you caused a mess and now you're getting charged legally, so you're going to have more burden on yourself here to feed yourself, to clothe yourself. So I think that's pretty interesting, and I think it's pretty fair, in my opinion, that if you got in trouble, it's all on you to take care of yourself. Interesting, because even I thought that, oh, well, he got arrested and he's still walking on the streets. He's roaming around, still filming after he got arrested. So that was nice to know that, like, just because he is roaming around, it doesn't mean that he's not truly arrested. He's just on this kind of, like, I think the best way for my brain to put it is like on a bail system where he still has this trial. He's still being watched, and he's not out of the woodwork. He has to pay for himself still. So he's still in massive trouble, but they're just not going to put him in prison and be a burden on the Korean, like, jail system. I cut out the next part, but Atosi does ask Legal Mindset, what is the legal prices in South Korea? Like, what are the lawyer fees? What is Johnny looking at cost-wise besides feeding himself and housing himself in South Korea, but what is it going to take for him to get a lawyer there? And Legal Mindset does go and say that, hey, he is a high case. He has a higher like criminal trial coming at him, so he's going to have to get a good competent lawyer, meaning he's going to probably have to put up, and this is Legal Mindset's estimate of $5, $10, $20,000, and that he does make a point, Legal Mindset, to say that's just the retainer fee. So Johnny is looking at a substantial cost there, and Legal Mindset does go in and say too that he's gonna have a lawyer that's gonna be very blunt, because they were very blunt in South Korea. So this lawyer is gonna probably lecture him on for hours just of everything he has done.
When it comes to prosecution of this case,
Mhm.
are they gonna go for like as much punishment as possible, or do you think they're gonna try to be a little bit lenient? Like, what do you think the odds are here?
So typically with most foreigners, they are very lenient. So in fact, for most foreigners, the solution is deportation. So
Okay.
they're just like, look, we're just going to deport you and then we're going to blacklist you, right? So you can't come back. That's typical foreigner punishment. But in Johnny's case, because it's risen to national attention, literally members of parliament here are bought in on this. They're in fact, recently drafting new bills in Parliament, specifically to deal with Johnny Somalis or Johnny Somali type scenarios in the future. This has gotten to national scale. So because it's that big, they're looking at this and saying, yeah, we kind of need to give some severe punishment here. So they're looking at the severe end of the scale. So
Wow.
I think that they're going to push as much as they can, given the evidence that they have, towards the severe end of the scale. Now, of course, the ultimate sentencing is up to that judge, right? So there would be whoever is the judge, them looking at the evidence and making the assessment once they find him guilty, which, by the way, he is dead to rights on the interference with business, obstruction of business. That is like, I've spoken to several lawyers, people very intimately aware of this. This one is a slam dunk based on that convenience store footage, both of him throwing the ramen, yelling at the woman, and then at the same convenience store in Hongdae, when it was the old man that comes outside and chases him when he was drinking the soju, and he was yelling at the people on the street. He called one woman the B word, right? That's the same store. Both of those things count as interference with business.
It does seem that Johnny is going to get a very, not harsh, but a hard punishment. He has really messed up to the point that Legal Mindset did say that there are laws being, proposed in South Korean government for what Johnny has done, like live streamers. So it's really funny to see that he messed up this bad, and and ultimately, yes, I will go back to what Legal Mindset said. It is up to the judge, but it seems that the people in South Korea want a very harsh punishment for what Johnny's done.
So what is the latest updates of all of this that you know of right now?
So the latest updates, other than the biggest news, is the indictment. The fact that this is going to trial, that this is going to be something public. This is your legal updates. This is not something they're going to bury. That is absolutely massive. There was a little bit of the news and the scuttlebutt about the passport, right? But the thing that he doesn't realize, and most people don't realize, is that Korean system. This is not 1890. Right? Korea is a very technologically advanced country, and their system is digital. So the travel bans that are issued are nationwide, and he's not going to be able to get out of any port of entry, any place that he could possibly leave, because that's all digital, right? So even if he doesn't go to Incheon Airport, Seoul Incheon Airport, which is the main international airport, if he goes to Gimpo, if he goes to Busan, if he goes to Pohang, Daegu, any city in Korea, they're not going to let him out. They're going to go. He's going to show up to the flight desk, and they're not even going to issue him a ticket. They won't even give him a ticket. He's not even going to get to immigration.
Interesting.
So he's totally locked down here in Korea.
And something that has came up quite a few times is cabbage memes in regards to him. Can you explain that? So why are you guys memeing that he is going to become a cabbage farmer?
So Korea, they actually thought about getting rid of this, but they didn't pass the law to get rid of this. So technically, if you get hit with a prison sentence, and part of that prison sentence includes a fine, and so if you get hit with both and you cannot pay the fines, they still can send you to forced labor. Now, in Korea, there's 3 different main areas where you get sent. Number 1 is a factory. Number 2 is a road work, the chain gang, so to say, as we might be, using it in the U.S. So working on the roads, paving the roads, cleaning the roads. And the third one, because there's a shortage of workers, there's a legitimate shortage of workers here in Korea, is agricultural work. That is one area where they send people out there. So my theory craft here is that he could be sent out to literally the cabbage fields of Korea to be farming that lovely, lovely kimchi.
I heard that. So Johnny could be working in the fields in South Korea if he gets charged that Johnny could be in the fields, man. Or more than likely, he does go and say legal mindset that more than likely it could be a factory too. But it would be funny to see Johnny having to do actual labor and work to basically pay back everything that he has done. So that would be funny to see.
This is why I've called out, because I have many Korean viewers now, many folks calling in and giving messages from Korea, that if you are in these videos, you need to consider filing against Johnny Somali.
I want to put that last clip in because I think it is very important that more people, if they are in South Korea and they are in any of Johnny's videos, as Legal Mindset says in the Atozi video, please, please, please file a complaint, file basically some kind of like wrongdoing. I don't know what it is in South Korea, but to add more charges against this guy, to build a heftier case, basically. That's what Legal Mindset is saying in that last one, is that there's more people having these complaints about Johnny Somali, the harsher the punishment could possibly be. So I just wanted to give that update because I did see this video on my For You page and I was like, hey, I want to cover this, I want to talk about this and share and kind of help get the message out there that, hey, this guy, Johnny, needs to get stopped, and hopefully he can get a harsh prison sentence with everybody kind of doing their part. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Goodbye.